As an artist, we're faced with a lot of decisions. And for most people, I know that decision is going with either traditional or digital art. Like most people, I started doing my art just, pencil, paper, sketchbook, whatever. Graphite, just traditional. Until later, when I received the most glorious present I could ever ask for, an iPad. I was then faced with a decision. Do I continue using my pencils and graphite charcoal to create, just regular traditional art? Or do I, maybe try something new and move on to digital? What kind of skill set would I need to learn to go into digital and, express myself properly? Would I finally have to learn how to use colors? Because I didn't. Most of my art just looked like this. So I eventually decided that I wanted to try something new. And I decided I was going to transition to digital. But needless to say, it wasn't anywhere near perfect. I know that this transition can be pretty brutal for some people. So I thought I might share what I learned during my transitional period of traditional to digital. I think the biggest hurdle for me was color, but we'll get to that later. The first real challenge that I faced was finding a program. At the time, and well, even now, I wasn't exactly rolling in money, so I had to get something cheap, maybe something free, just, especially for me, something that was easy to learn. And so for me, the obvious answer, after, a little bit of research, was Procreate. So I downloaded Procreate, I loaded it up one day, and I was just overwhelmed, honestly, which is funny because Procreate is probably the most simple application out of any application you could get on an iPad. I don't know if I'm just really dumb or I'm just, but I had to look up like 3 videos to really get a grasp on just the basics. I know a lot of people use IBS or just, whatever they can get their hands on for free, and I honestly don't blame them. But Procreate was only like $5, so I just went with it. As for programs go, I don't think it makes too much of a difference. Different programs have different brushes, this, that, and the other, and it's, ultimately your decision. Just personally, it's with the simplicity of Procreate and the price, I would say it's pretty good towards people that are just transitioning or beginners. My first piece on Procreate was pretty bad. I didn't really know what I was doing, and I was still very much a beginner. I mean, I still kind of consider myself a beginner, but I've improved. I went from this to this. So, I mean, there's a clear difference there. And a big part of that difference is learning colors and just learning my own way of art, honestly. As I mentioned before, I never really used color. Maybe like 1 or 2 pieces, but that's pretty much it. I just didn't really get it. And for somebody that only did traditional, color was you put it down and you couldn't really get it back. So if you messed up, you just screwed up your piece. And that fear of failure really drove me to not use color at all. So it was a pretty big struggle for me to translate what the bare minimum that I knew to digital. Honestly, I only really used digital for like sketches, because it was just, I don't know, it was just kind of easier. And I mean, that's another thing I had to get used to as well, is just sketching is just different. It's just different on digital than it is to traditional. I mean, you can You can kind of replicate it if you tone down the opacity or just have a very soft brush, but it was very hard for me in the beginning because the brushes that I had were I just didn't fully understand it. I think it was the issue. So I pretty much just used it for sketching. Until one day, one of my friends asked for a commission. They had seen some of my pieces and, just kind of took a chance on me. I was so scared to screw it up because it was the first piece I really used color with, that I didn't, want to mess up, that it wasn't just for me, So I went in and pretty much did my best, and here's the result. After that, though, I got a lot more comfortable with color because I realized, the undo button exists, and you can just kind of do it till it feels right. Since then, I've just been kind of fumbling around with color a little bit, kind of playing with it, and I discovered pretty much the holy grail for trying to learn color, which was color picking. I don't do it so much anymore because I'd rather challenge myself, and it doesn't feel as genuine, I just one day figured out that you could just, pull up a picture and reference and then look at the colors they use there and figure out the lighting and all that, and then I just ran with it. And for the next few pieces, I pretty much did it verbatim until, I'm like, this isn't working. I'm not really being creative. I'm literally just copy pasting. It's so dumb. But I did get somewhat of a grasp on colors. That really, really helped me. Honestly, if I didn't color pick, I really don't think, to this day, I would understand colors the way I do. And I'm sure I still have a lot to learn, but it's definitely an improvement from where I was. But there was still something missing. I had this, it just didn't feel right drawing on this screen. So I tried getting a specially made screen protector that was supposed to kind of have a feel like paper whenever you draw on it. And I don't know, if just for some reason it didn't feel any different. So that didn't really help. It just kind of, what really clicked for me with transitioning was, I think it was going back to traditional. I had a period where I just stopped doing digital and just kind of went back to formula. And I think that's what really, helped me get over traditional. I still do it from time to time, but honestly, I'm mostly just a digital artist. I knew it was bad when I went back to my sketchbook and, was trying to sketch some kind of figure out, some kind of character or something. And I tried to, tap the sketchbook with two of my fingers to undo, or try to zoom in. That's how I knew that I was just like, okay, yeah, I'm a digital artist now. And I mean, ever since then, I just kind of went back. There's not much else to tell. I would say the biggest tips for transitioning over to digital is to just, especially if you don't have prior knowledge of coloring, which is a big part of digital, is to just kind of find your own way. Use what you know, use a color picker, and really find a brush that you can just kind of play around with and resonate with. Because I kept trying to use these very hard brushes, these very just, in my sketches, they turned out terrible, all scribbly and nasty, and they pretty much just look like this. And it was just a mess until I found a brush that fit me, and until I found the color picking function. At this point, I'd gotten pretty comfortable with digital, but I still felt like there was something missing. And I really think that was the flow of my process. I didn't really have any kind of specific order for it. I just kind of fumbled around until, bam, there was a piece. The flow for my process has definitely evolved over time, but I would say the point at which it started just kind of unfolding was when I did my 6-character fan art challenge on my Instagram. And I think it was just because it was just back to back to back fan art, and I just wanted to get things done a little quickly, and it just kind of became muscle memory, more or less. I'd go in, I'd get references, I'd do the sketch, and then line art, and then colors, and then shadows and highlights. And that was my process for a long time. So pretty much the two big things that really cemented me as a digital artist was that process and, me going back to my sketchbook and trying to hit the undo button. And, ever since then, it's just been digital. It can be pretty hard to transition, but once you get the hang of it, you're in. The main thing really is, just like any kind of art piece or style or anything, even slightly, it's different for everybody. Just because the color picker helped me doesn't mean it'll help you in the slightest. And you might just use the default brush forever, you might not need a new one, and that's perfectly fine. Everyone's journey is at least a little different. So if this is useful in any way, shape, or form, I am very, very happy. And I wish you good luck on your own journey. And if you, for whatever reason, enjoyed this little rant/yapping session, then, I'll probably make more in the future if you want to stick around. If not, that's fine too. Hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. See ya.